So in this video, we're going to go over the streets and avenues of the Upper West Side in Manhattan. The Upper West Side is a little bit confusing, and I'm going to explain why in this video. The Upper West Side is technically both kind of like a region of New York City, well, Manhattan specifically, but also a specific neighborhood in Manhattan. So what do I mean by that? The city is broken up into a couple different sections. So you have downtown, and that's pretty much all one section. Then you have Midtown West, Midtown East, the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, and then you have Upper Manhattan, which is Harlem and above. In the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, Midtown West, and Midtown East, there's other neighborhoods that are encompassed in those areas. So that's where it gets a little bit confusing, because the Upper West Side is one of those areas that has other neighborhoods within the Upper West Side. But you can also live in the Upper West Side neighborhood. So I have no idea who decided to make it so confusing in Manhattan, but apparently someone did at some point in time. So I'm going to talk to you about the differences in this video. That way you completely understand exactly where you are living or where you potentially will live. So the region of the Upper West Side, not the neighborhood, the region starts at 59th Street and stretches all the way to 110th Street on the west side. And we'll put up a picture so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the boundaries go from Central Park West all the way to the waterfront. Now, that is the whole kind of like territory region of the Upper West Side. But there's two other neighborhoods that are in that 59th Street to 110th Street area. So when you're in 59th Street all the way up to 72nd Street, stretching from Central Park to the Riverside, you are in the Lincoln Square neighborhood technically. You're not technically in the Upper West Side neighborhood. Now, when you are above 96th Street to 110th Street, stretching from Central Park to the Riverside again, you are then in Manhattan Valley, which is technically another neighborhood within the Upper West Side. I know it's a little confusing. I hope I didn't lose you yet. Now, what is the Upper West Side neighborhood? It's exactly what is in between both those two neighborhoods of Lincoln Square and Manhattan Valley. So it stretches from 72nd Street all the way to 96th Street. That is technically the Upper West Side neighborhood. Like I said, I know that's really confusing. I have no idea who decided to do that at some point in time. Some people will say that they live in the Upper West Side, even though they do live in Manhattan Valley or Lincoln Square. But technically, from a real estate perspective, they live in that specific neighborhood, Manhattan Valley or Lincoln Square. Then if you live in the official Upper West Side, you live in between 72nd Street and 96th Street. So the only thing that makes it a little less confusing is that the east and west boundaries are always the same for all three of these different neighborhoods, and that's stretching from Central Park West all the way to the West Side Highway. So I would say if you live in Manhattan Valley or Lincoln Square, if I personally lived in either one of those neighborhoods, I would prefer that I live in the name of that neighborhood, just because it's a little less confusing for people. However, sometimes people who don't really know New York City well, they don't know those specific neighborhoods, and that's why people just say, oh, I live in the Upper West Side, even though they technically live in one of those other neighborhoods. But for people who know Manhattan really well, they'll know the difference when you say Manhattan Valley or Lincoln Square. They'll be like, oh, okay, so you live in the southern part of the Upper West Side, or you live in the northern part of the Upper West Side if you're talking about Manhattan Valley. I hope this helped you figure out what streets and avenues are technically considered the Upper West Side, and it also gave you a little bit of an overview of two other neighborhoods that are in the whole region of the Upper West Side. So I would love to know, did you guys know that these other neighborhoods were part of the Upper West Side territory? As always, I love hearing from you guys in the comments.